Hello, guys. Um, I have been working on this afternoon, so I thought, you know what, I'm working on it. I'm just going to record it while it's top of mind. I usually try to do this for all my classes, just to pass on some pearls of wisdom to you guys, mostly about careers, but maybe just a little bit intruding into, um, life and other things beyond careers. And I hope you'll forgive me for it and be a little tolerant of me. But one of the great things for me about teaching at FIT is that I get to work with and get to know you guys, and it's really, I'm lucky to have that. To be able to have even a tiny bit of influence and be a little tiny bit of help, maybe, to talented young people like you, who are most of you at the beginning of your careers, is it's a privilege, and I'm grateful for it. And so I'm going to abuse the privilege a little bit, and these things I'm going to pass on now are not really necessarily in the syllabus and the subject matter of what I'm teaching, other than, as I think you know, the mission of FIT is to help all of our students get on a good track. And anyway, okay. So here are a few suggestions for success in career and in life. So first thing I have to do is be able to actually scroll. There we go. Okay, I usually make more of this in my classes. When I started teaching at FIT in 2015, and for a few years after that, I had every one of the students in every one of my classes give me a list of, this is MBO, which is Management by Objective, and KPI is a key performance indicator. I used to have students write those out for me and hand them in terms of why they were at FIT, why they were taking the class, and anything else they wanted. I think actually writing down your goals for different parts of your life is a very, very important and useful thing to do. And writing it on a piece of paper, with your hand and a pen or something to write with, is a very good exercise to go through. And it's usually good when you have goals like that to have some measurement involved in whether you've achieved them or not, or whether you're on the right path. So one of the comments I would write on almost everyone's list of goals was, start with small steps. So if your goal was to have a job in a certain area, by the time you graduated from FIT, well, what are the things you're going to do? Are you going to, first, you're going to build up your LinkedIn profile. And then you're going to find companies that match your criteria for the kind of place you want to work. Have you talked to the placement office? Have you gotten an internship to get you on your way there? They're just little steps. When you're on LinkedIn, and you search for those companies that you like and start to follow key people at those companies, and see if you can sort of pry your way into some kind of dialogue with them. And anyway, in terms of a work environment, management by objectives means that, in my experience, a well-run company is one where you walk in the door on your first day of your job, and your boss sits down with you and says, or stands up if they like to work standing up, and says, all right, these are the things you're going to be focusing on, for the next, 2 to 3 months. These are the projects I want you to handle. You're going to need coaching here. You're going to need this there. You're going to need that there. Here are the due dates for the projects. Here's who's going to help you. So that, and you give feedback, and agree or don't agree, and maybe do a little negotiating, so that by the end of the meeting, you actually have a list of whatever it is, 5, 6, 7 projects with objectives, with dates, with some kind of measurable goal, okay, for the project. And then you've got a direction. You've got your marching orders, okay? So then a good boss is going to have a formal meeting with you, maybe once a week, where you sit down and go over everything. What about this? What about that? What about that? And if you have to make a change, you make a change, you make an adjustment when you agree with your boss. And your boss's job is to coach you to help you accomplish those goals. And your boss should be doing the same thing with her boss, and on and on and on up the chain. Okay. And by the way, if you ever find yourself being somebody's boss, you want to do the same thing with them. Sit down, work on the goals, make them realistic, not impossible. Listen to what your employee has to say. And your job as a boss is to coach every one of your team members to make those goals. Okay. Now, the job goals can go beyond just the job and can involve other aspects of your life. It can involve family and personal relationships. Do you want to be a better friend? Do you want to be a better brother, sister, cousin, daughter? How will you do that? Should you be talking to certain people more often, picking up the phone and seeing how they're doing? Okay, so you have goals for relationships. You have goals with, do you want to contribute to some kind of cause in your life? Are you just going to be someone who, goes to work and has a family and makes a living and has friends and, well, that's all cool? Or is your life going to have some purpose, I guess you could say, beyond that? Okay, where there's some kind of cause, something you believe in that you're going to get involved in. And there's no time like the present. Figure out what that area is, that because the environment, is it animals, is it the homeless? Okay, so have goals there too. And you got to take these goals out, and just like you have that weekly meeting with your boss, you've got to look at your goals. I look at mine every day. And I look, what have I done about this? What have I done about that? And if you're not making any progress on something, that's when you really want to break out, what is actually the next step I need to do here, and do it. Pick up the phone now. Okay, now, if you do these things, you're much more likely to, when you look at the goals, you're much more likely to accomplish the things you want to accomplish. That's one of the most important things I can pass on to you. Well, here's another, just an organizational piece of advice, and not everybody actually knows this as well as they should, which is that, your boss is really important to your success, particularly when you're just starting in a company, because they've hired you, they're paying you based on an interview or an internship or whatever, but you're in a new role now, and you're starting like on a full-time job basis. And your boss is going to be asked about you. Well, how is she doing? Okay. And you want your boss to be raving about you. No one is more important to your success in any company than your boss. And I just hope you all have good bosses. It isn't always the case that you're going to have good bosses, but learn from it and be a better boss yourself because of what you see that's not so good. Also, with your boss, another little rule, I remember somebody told me, very good boss she was. Boy, she was tough and she was terrific. I think she talked about, a client asked a question in a meeting, and she gave an answer, and I was stupid enough to contradict her because I was so smart I had the right answer. And she gave me a quick flash of a glance. And she talked to me after that meeting. She said, if you ever do that again to me in a meeting, you're gonna be sorry. You don't contradict your boss in public, in a meeting. You just don't do it. You're loyal. Okay? You're there to support your boss, not to look smarter than your boss. Okay. Now, you're going to need help from lots of people in whatever organization you are lucky enough to get a job in. And you're going to need to make friends and get to know people and spend some time talking to people. And and particularly when you're starting out, you don't know how to do everything. You need to get help. You need to have, but you have to have people who actually want to help you, who don't feel that you're just an ingrate and a jerk who's just going to take all their ideas and try to get all the credit for it or whatever it is. So anytime anyone helps you, thank them to them and mean it. And if it's appropriate and you can do it, thank them in a way that makes them look good in front of their boss and their organization. So send a thank you email and copy the person's boss, for instance. Okay, that way the person says, wow, she's a team player. She's willing to share some credit. And if you're the kind of person who does that, the next time you ask for help, you're going to get a friendlier ear. Ooh, how did I get that fast? I didn't mean to do that. Whoa, what do I have to do here? Whoa, there we go. Sorry. All right. I remember a company I worked at for quite a while, Gannett. I was promoted from a VP. I was promoted to the management committee for the company. And I remember attending my first management committee meeting, and I had a friend, very, very good friend. He's still a good friend, who told me, don't talk a lot in the meeting, don't have all the good ideas, don't show off, don't how smart you are, ... You're new in this rarefied environment with these guys who've been doing this for a while. Just be quiet and be respectful and listen, okay? And just sort of absorb things. And you know what? That's a smart way to be, because nobody likes a know-it-all, smart ass, whatever you want to call it, that thinks, wow, I just walk in here and I know how to do everything better than everybody else. Nobody likes to work with somebody like that. So when you get a new role, when you're promoted, and you're in meetings and stuff with people, or have some humility. Listen, okay? Listen, learn, and then make your moves a little later on. And then this one is, no matter what you do, know the business. Okay, so do things to really find out what's going on with the business. If you're selling a product at retail, go to the stores. When you visit a city, go to the stores. Make notes about the display and how the product looks and where it is in the store. Talk to the head person who runs the store. See how consumers are reacting to the product. If you're selling cars, you should know something about how a car works. If you're selling laundry detergent, guess what? Do laundry with your detergent. Use the product, call the helpline yourself, see how that goes. Know the business, know the product, know how it works. This one almost should be first, which is a good sense of humor goes a long way. Don't get mad. Don't get steamed. Try to diffuse maybe tense situations with a self-deprecating remark and something goofy and have everybody laugh. And everybody likes to work with someone who's funny and fun. Okay, so if you've got a little bit of that in you, display it. Okay, here's another practical piece of advice. Don't be a job hopper. I have interviewed, I can't tell you how many young people starting in their careers who are 6 months here, 8 months here, 10 months here, job hopping around from job to job, because you wonder what's wrong with that person. Why can't they succeed at whatever they're doing? Or why, if they take a job, haven't they been smart enough to figure out that it was a bad place to go in the first place? Try to stay in any job at least a year. And if you don't, it's just not going to count on your resume. It's like a half, and it's nothing. Now, if it's an impossible, horrible situation and you're being abused or harassed or something like that, okay, But I will say that if you remember, a couple of years ago, there was a young lady who worked at Uber in the programming. She was writing code. She was a tech person. She was harassed like crazy. She wrote a whole big piece on it, and actually recently wrote a book. She put up a lot of crap. She put up with an HR department that was terrible, but she stuck it out for a year. And I'm going to stop now and pick it up on the other side.